Yeah, I'm making this one live. Do that again. There we go. Right. Hey, you mind leading us in prayer? Hmm? Oh,
Father, we read your word and discuss your word and learn. We ask that we actually learn the things that you have brought forth to us. Only God, Heavenly Father, we just keep you holy for our eyes. Let us live your truth, walk in your truth, and your truth. We ask that you continue to push your truth throughout all these lives, Heavenly Father. Establish yourself once again. We thank you and we praise you. Amen.
So, last time we were talking about Naham. Do you remember what the word Naham meant? Okay, so this one's the testament of Simeon. Flee to Yahuah. On this one, we're gonna be focused on the spirit of envy, because in the times that's coming, it's gonna be a lot of that going on. Because ain't gonna be much to go around. What were you gonna say? Oh, you're talking about Nahum. Yeah, yeah, that too. But the word Nahum means to be comforted. You know, that we was reading about how the patriarch and how he made sure that his son was comforted after his mom died, right? So just to try to speed this up. So when do we need, or what are times when we need to be comforted?
Mostly, yeah.
And then any other times? Dealing with sadness. Okay. Death and sadness. We got. So, okay. Do you know what times do we need to be comforted in?
Um,
I agree with that. Okay. So some of the ones that came to mind for me were in times of death, like you were talking about. In times of loss of employment, you got to provide for your family. You don't have the means. In times of loss of friends. Now, this next one's a big one. In times when friends or family receive blessings or gifts from God and we don't. Because that's when a lot of people just really get that spirit of envy stuck in them, like, why he blessed them and not me? Oh, he think he this, he think he that, right? That's a big one, especially in our community.
right. If you know,
They will,
I would be like this, wow, like, these people living like they supposed to.
right. Um, and then the other one was we have when you have lost sight of your purpose. And we all go through ups and downs, ebbs and flows, and we come to times where we're just like, man, you know, keeping on the faith, keeping on the walk, you know, whatever it is, and staying positive. That's another time when we need to be comforted in. And then the last one was in times of famine. So why would I put in times of famine on there? Man, it's for show on the one. Man, can you read this next slide, please? Oh, there you go.
The Russia-Ukraine conflict.
You know, I got it. I'll read this. You good? You good? It says how the Russia-Ukraine conflict is impacting the supply chain. One of the big disruptors to the global supply chain this year has been the war in Ukraine. Initiated by Russia in late February, it really wasn't initiated by Russia, but anyway, the conflict has continued into the summer. Blockades and sanctions are impacting the global supply of two major food products in Ukraine, and Russia, wheat and sunflower oil. Now it says, as the two biggest exporters of wheat and sunflower oil in the world, a lot of people don't realize that. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is being felt worldwide. According to a report published by the United Nations, Russia and Ukraine ranked among the top three global exporters of wheat, maize, rapeseed, sunflower seeds, and sunflower oil in 2021. While the production of products like wheat in Ukraine and Russia were favorable in the winter of 21/22, existing supply has been unable to leave the region due to the conflict. Blockades and sanctions. The harvest season, which begins in July and runs through December, so we're in that harvest season now. They can't leave though. Will likely continue in Ukraine, but farmers have nowhere to store or transport the grain, so it's all going to waste. 90% of the 5 million metric tons of grain that Ukraine would export before the war moved through the Black Sea. Russian aggression and blockades at vital ports like Odessa have made it impossible for Ukraine to move the grains out of port cities on the Black Sea. Ukraine's infrastructure depends on these waterways to export the majority of their goods. So, what this article, if you keep reading it, which we're not, goes on to say that they actually produce, those two countries, 50% of the world's wheat. Now, you know that America levied all these sanctions. All these other countries levied all these sanctions against Russia. But then it says Ukraine can't get rid of it. So there are some estimates, this was earlier in the year, that says world has 10 weeks supply of wheat left. Now, this was back in May. Some people are estimating right now it's about 2 weeks worth of wheat going on in the world right now. And we're in the harvest season right now, and the war of Ukraine is still raging on. So why do you think I'm putting stuff like this in here when we're talking about the spirit of envy and jealousy? And I don't want to get too far. Okay. Something else. So you know about the Euphrates River drying up, right? You know about the Euphrates River is drying up right now. It's in Africa. It's like the biggest, one of the biggest, rivers in Africa. Yeah. So here in America, though, the Mississippi River is drying up. Yeah, I was gonna get all kinds of pictures because like they're on this article, but I just took a snapshot of it. So there's supply chain issues because they can't even get the ships to go through the Mississippi River anymore. They're finding ships that have been shipwrecked a long time ago. Yeah, I know, I saw them all. And so that's another thing that's keeping produce. Produce is going bad, and they can't even make it here in time. So again, we're focusing on the spirit of envy though and jealousy, because when these shortages come, when this famine comes, you're going to see the true character of people come out. So it's going we're coming into a time from we're leaving the time of a land of plenty, and we're coming to a time of a land of you've got to be able to sustain yourself. So this is going to be a time to where you're not going to need to let everybody know what you got when it comes to food and water and whatever else is coming. So another thing says supply of drinking water continues to dwindle in the West. So because there's been these mega droughts going on, so again, with the spirit of envy and jealousy, when people realize what you got, ugly nature can come out in people. And then this one, it talks about a global food crisis. They had already predicted that for 2022. They're predicting these famines because they're orchestrating this, which was something me and you, we always talk about. So as we continue, what are the fruits of the spirit?
Long suffering.
Mm-hmm. You can just give me one, that's fine. So it's found in, where's it found in? Remember the book? No. Well, yeah, some of it's in Ephesians. It's one of Paul's. Galatians is where this one is. Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23, it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, like you said, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. So a lot of people see that like, see, there's no law, there's no law. No, it's like, no, if you're operating in that though, you're not going to be sinning. You're going to be, because you're following the way, the truth. You're being obedient, right? So the one thing that we have to focus on today is going to be love. So I got a question for you, man. What is love?
What is love? Love is patient. Love is love is felt most in singing.
Okay, you singing a song. Okay, all right.
But no, love, like I said, Love is like the ultimate care for something or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you
I agree. You, Roger? Mm. When they can really see you. Yeah. I agree. So the word there in Galatians 5 is agape. Now, there's some controversy in some people because there's I'll just read the definition. It says love, charity, what is that? Dear, charitably, feast of charity. So there's another thing down here where it says love feasts. So in some forms, because you know people corrupt everything, they would literally be having love fest orgies. So a lot of people try to stay away from agape once you learn that history of it. So we'll go back to the Hebrew version of it. That word is ahab or ahava. Uh, it means love, lover, friends, beloved, likely, loveth.
Ahava.
Ahava or ahab.
You know that?
Yeah, but when I'm in this slideshow view, you can't. I don't know why it does that. But it's if you ever want to look it up, it's Strong's H157. Strong's H157, and then the Greek version was Strong's G26. So Hebrew is H157. It means to love, human love for one another includes family and sexual. Again, with that agape feast, sometimes they would, because if you look into like the fathers of the early church, you would see that a lot of them ended up banning, because it used to be a love feast. They used to have an agape feast, and then certain people would get out of hand. They would get drunk in it and start doing all kind of craziness. Um, Human appetite for objects such as food, drink, sleep, wisdom, human love for or to God, act of being a friend, lover, friend, and then God's love toward man. This is ahab or ahava, right? So this is found in Deuteronomy 7, verse 13, which, Bam, if you don't mind, could you read this, brother?
And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine, thine oil, the increase of thy kind, what kind of thing?
Okay.
Kind, and the flock of thy sheep, and the land which he swore unto thy father to give thee.
So this is where we find one of the places where we find ahava, right? I mean, this is love of the Father to us, and we're supposed to emulate that type of love, right? So now we're gonna go to Genesis because I'm trying to make this quick. Cause I know we all got stuff, especially y'all got stuff y'all got to do today. Genesis 37, right? And starting in verse 1, it says, "And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report." So they were doing some wickedness. So he was snitching. Now Israel, or Jacob, loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. There's actually many parts. If you actually break it down, not just many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So I'm not saying Jacob was 100% right, because you're supposed to try to love your kids as much as possible, but you can tell who's going to be great and who's just going to be, you got kids. Um, what? But that word hated. Are you supposed to be hating your brother? That's definitely one of the original 10. You're supposed to love your neighbor or your brother. You're not supposed to have hate in your heart towards him, right? So, man, especially when you're dealing with love, because we're supposed to be giving love, especially to family and loved ones and friends that have become family. But that spirit of what? What are we focusing on? The spirit of what?
Envy and jealousy.
Envy and jealousy. It just morphed into hate, right? And I know we've read the story. Pretty sure we've all read the story, right? But Ben, read this slide. Actually, you mind reading the slide, bro? Slides? Okay.
Also,
he told his brethren, he, he said unto them, do I pray you this drink which I drink? For behold, you are binding me, bill, old, self, thief, robe, a robe. Also stood up, old, and thieves stood around, aid,
Obedience.
aid to my.
So in other words, their chiefs or their power fell under his subjection. He became like the master of all of them in this dream, is what it's saying.
What is like
It's-
something like, you ever seen the bow and arrow? Look at that word, they had weed in it.
Mhm.
So the thing that holds the bow and arrow, the arrows in the bow and arrow, it's like a stack or something.
Mhm.
His brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed over us, or shalt thou over us? And they hated him more for him.
That's right, building hate on top of hate,
Mhm.
top of hate.
No mercy, no love in their heart towards him. Now, mind you, he is the second youngest boy at the time. I believe it was Benjamin. Benjamin. Yeah, because Joseph and Benjamin had the same mother, and the rest of the tribes had two different or three different mothers or whatever. But you see, hate is building. Hate is building. No love, no forgiveness. Now, of course, if you read the book of Joshua, you get more insight into what else he was doing. So on this, we only find out that he was snitching a little bit, but he was kind of boasting himself above them. Actually, go ahead.
So with the hate,
Mhm.
and it's about hate.
Yes.
Yep. Instead of looking at everything.
And then they're not even taking into account because they're fully grown. Like they're going off, they're fighting in wars and stuff that's not really in the Bible. We have to read the other books that were taken out. They're fighting in wars, they're doing this, and that. And like you said, he's doing all the stuff for his dad around the way. Even though they're going out, they're mending the sheep and they're fighting, they're doing all this other stuff, but he's taking care of the home, right? And it talks about he's the son of his father's sheep. So anytime he needs something done, he'll go to him because his brothers is out doing what they're supposed to be doing. And when you don't, like you said, when your perspective is so self-centered, because we live in this me generation, self-centered generation right now. And again, that's what creates that spirit of jealousy that makes it fester and morphs, like we talked about, into hatred. So you have read the story before, right? Okay. Well, you mind keep reading? Okay.
He dreamed yet another dream, told it to his brethren, said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. Behold, moon, 11 stars made
Obedience.
obedience to me.
So the sun and the moon will represent his father, who's the patriarch, and his mother. And then it says the 11 stars. Now he has 11 brothers. So like this is all in his dream. This is all symbolic. There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He told it to his father and to his brethren. Father rebuked him, said unto him, what is this dream thou hast? Shall I and thy mother, brethren, indeed come bow down ourselves indeed?
Mm-hmm.
His brethren envied, but father observed, but his father observed things.
So again, in the extra books that were taken out, you find out that the reason that his father actually rebuked him there, because he could see from that dream how his brothers were seething. They were getting mad. They was getting hot. Oh, so you coming to us with that bull job again? So you really think that we gonna obey you? Little 17-year-old ain't been to no war, and wouldn't kill nobody, you know, we got bodies out here. They had like they was for real out there killing folks. So they was from the streets for real. Like for real. Like they was like, man, you don't know about what we like Simeon and Levi went and killed like a whole city, them two for raping their sister. Went out and murked everybody in that whole city. Like them dudes was some killers. So they like, man, you really gonna come at us like that? You gonna come at us like that? You know he our father too, right? You know that, right? Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Read the last verse.
His brethren went to feed their fathers, and the brethren went to feed father's flock.
The Kim. Right. Okay. So now last time we're reading from the Shepherd of Hermas. Now, do y'all remember we talked about the angel of iniquity? That was like because remember I told you like how in modern days they tell you you always have an angel and a demon on your shoulders or whatever. Well, one's the angel of righteousness, the other's the angel of iniquity, right? So dealing with Paul. So what are the works of the angel of iniquity or works of the flesh, slash the law of your members? Dealing with Paul. Do you remember those things? I'm not gonna go to Romans 7, but we're gonna go back to Galatians 5. So, yeah, you said it right. You said lust of the flesh, right? Okay, so we're gonna go right. So we're gonna go back to Galatians 5. We're gonna read verses 17 through 21. Told you I'm trying to keep this one short. It says, "For the flesh lusteth after this or against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary to the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would." What does that mean?
So it's like, especially if you want to walk one way, you know, it's gonna be clashing with yourself for the most part because you got to be doing things conscious just for you, or if you don't do what you do right, and then the flesh, you know, like you said, seeing like I really want that cake, but I'm gonna walk through this, I'm gonna eat this salad. If I decide like salad, I want big cake. So it's kind of like no matter what you do, you still gonna have a battle.
Right, because that's what Paul talks about, like that there's another law. So there's a law of God, or a law of your mind, and then there's a law warring in your members, which is metaphorically speaking the flesh. Yeah. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
Everybody following leader, something on versus really listening.
Because look, some of the stuff is out there, but some of the stuff I'm like, man, did y'all actually listen to what he said, or y'all listen to the sound bites? Like, which one do y'all listen to? Because everything he's saying ain't 100% wrong either. So
I heard, like I said, it's far fetched.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can say, "Ooh, that's so off black or whatever." But I can give you a whole thing and just pretty much say it's white. Like it's like he said a lot of things that seems far fetched, but when you break down his whole totality of what he's saying, it's spot on. People like he got the answers, of course. A lot of people talk with answers.
Yeah. And he sold his soul and all that other stuff. True.
And he said, like, you know, he pointed out. He said something about Yahuah got me doing this, but I'm like, whoa.
One of the things Kanye do, he don't. He's saying things.
He's blunt.
He's saying things that it take a lot of courage to really say. He's doing it before him. Like him coming out talking about he addicted to porn and all. You know, that's something ashes. So let me put it out there versus y'all try to make me look
that's
bad
what he did. That's definitely what he's doing.
This right here with he said yeah, because he was talking about Puff, right? This was in the statement.
Oh yeah.
And he was talking about Puff. He had said he was like, I don't care if y'all got me on.
Yeah, I saw that last night, I think.
And everybody had started saying something and everything. Oh,
trying to diffuse the conversation.
Trying to stop him going further in this conversation.
It's not what's supposed to be had.
It's the same. Years ago, they covered up and talked about.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you what it is. We're gonna get back to this. But what it is, that media he was talking about, they give you a little bit to debunk it. Oh, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. And now when they push it up to the forefront, we so used to say, oh, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. Oh, that's just entertainment. That's just media. That's just this. And they pretty much they put blinders on it.
Sanitizers.
The what?
Sanitizers. To the truth. Basically.
Yeah. And so yeah, but like that's what he was talking about. But yeah, like I said, it's crazy.
No, because I haven't really said anything about that. Just because, I mean, we talked about Kanye before, but I understand like he's kind of being put out there as basically the poster child for Black people, for the awakening, for us waking up, right? And they're painting him in this bad light. Now, some other people, Truth has been coming out and talking about this. Well, Adidas, quote unquote, canceled him, or was it Nike? Whoever it was, Adidas quote unquote, canceled him. But that now, the creator, have you ever heard of Hebrews to Negroes? Ron Dalton. Okay, so he's the creator of Hebrews to Negroes. It's a series of books where he's like found the archaeological and DNA evidence proving that we are the people of the Bible. We are the descendants of it. He's got movie after movie, book after book. So now, TMZ is now, after this Kanye incident, is now targeting him. Now, because Kanye had spoken, has talked about him, and then also Kyrie Irving did that post on social media.
Is it the Hidden Colors guy?
They said that
no, it's not
the NBA,
the owner of the NBA, the owner of the Nets, is
against doing it
because it's quote unquote anti-Semitic, even though Semitic technically, we are Semitic.
Yeah, that's what Kanye was saying.
But that's what Kanye, like he was talking about anti-Semitic. He was talking serious. He was like, these people get paid off of.
So there's a lot of controversy going on about that. It's taboo, but they're using Kanye and the things that he said to start targeting prominent. It's going to be all of us that are speaking or voicing the truth. So you kind of got to be careful because we're on their platforms. We're using their media and all this and that. But it's coming because they know that the judgments are all coming to this country. So judgments always start with us according to the Bible, right? So we got to be careful. We got to be paying attention to that stuff. Okay, so you read the first verse, right?
You did.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Want me to get it?
Yeah, go ahead.
But if ye be led by the Spirit, ye are not under the law. It's kind of like what you were saying about if you got the gifts of the Spirit, you're working in the gifts, you won't be under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness,
Lascivious.
Lascivious. What is that?
Like you have like an insatiable appetite for something.
Kind of look like laughing.
It's like you're addicted.
Adultery, witchcraft, hatred.
What?
Hatred.
So the brothers of Joseph were operating in the works of the flesh underneath the angel of iniquity, right? Okay, keep going.
Variance. I know. We gotta get
emulations.
No, I'm talking about variance. I know, like, because we say in English variance means this, but apparently it's bad. So I need to look that up. Emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envying.
So that's both of them. That's hatred and envy. Both of them are works of the flesh.
Murderers, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, I'm on eyes blurry, as I have also told you in the time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
So that's how vital those works of the flesh can be. Like they can keep you from getting into quote unquote heaven, or even walking in heaven on this earth. Because kingdom of heaven is going to be created here on earth. But then the kingdom of heaven is also a state of consciousness or a state of mind, state of blessing, right? So, but if you're walking in all this, because if you want to sound quote unquote new age in the negative frequencies, like we're talking about envy and jealousy and hatred, you're living it. You're not just walking in, you're living it. That's why you inhale. And then you're inhaling hell, literally. So, since we're talking about envy, what is envy?
So jealousy is the thing,
They're basically the same.
is it? Okay. I was gonna try to be deep and smart.
Be deep, be deep.
Okay, so
be as smart as you want.
jealousy is like, look at him. He think he's something because he got that
Slick back
jig.
hair.
But envy is, look at him. I can have that hair too. So it's like jealousy is like hating that they have some. Envy is like wanting it, like lusting after it. So I think.
Go ahead.
You hit it on the point. I think it's like person instead of saying I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I always say, you see somebody with something you don't got, envy is the first thing in your mind, but it should transition.
And you being grateful and happy for them so you can bring that into your life, right?
Right. You know, but I say that and everything.
The start of like, I want me one of them. Right. And like you said, then they get to grow into like, okay, I'm gonna give me one.
Give me one instead of
Yeah.
because I feel get to the point that they have it. But
Yeah, that's when you get to be like menace to society. You saw that dude riding around with them rims on, and then one day he like, no, I need that.
Let me get this essence cheese.
Yeah. Real. I mean, but it leads to murder and all this other type of stuff. Stealing, you know. So envy. Going back to envy, right? So envy. Look what it says. The first definition of it says jealous. Makes you jealous. It says envy. Jealousy, envious, zealous, very zealous. And the word is kana in Hebrew, right? Kana. It means to be envy, be jealous, be envious, be zealous, be jealous of, envious of, zealous of, to excite, to jealous anger. So there's that hatred. You're getting to that point. To provoke to jealous anger cause jealousy. So you can use that word for jealousy or envy. According to the Bible, again, that word is kana, and that is Strong's H7065 if you ever want to look that up in the Bible. So we're going to go back to Genesis 37, right? And start at verse 13. It says, and Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you or thee unto them. And he said to them, here am I. So again, that's what I was talking about. So since they were off going on working or fighting or whatever, he was handling the affairs of his father. Benjamin wasn't old enough to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey man, go check on your brothers. Basically, is what's happening right now. But since you haven't read it, you go ahead and read it.
he said to him, oh, pray thee, whether he well with thy brethren, well with the flocks. Bring me word. So he sent him out, well, Hebron. He came to him.
So because they're looking at it from their perspective, they're not understanding. Joseph always goes out and sees how everything's going, and then he brings a report back to his father. His dad is asking him to do that. They don't see it like that. They see this dude keep coming us with these dreams, and he keeps snitching, man. You know, everybody makes mistakes or whatever. But again, because they got so closed off, and they just like the envy morphed into hatred. They can't see any love. He's not even. They don't even consider him a brother at this point. Right? Okay, keep going.
Third man found. Oh, he was wonderful. Still, and asked him, what seekest thou?
So what are you looking for? Yeah.
And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, pray thee, where they feed the flock.
Keep going.
And said, they are departed hence. For I heard them say, let us go to Jordan. Joseph went after his brethren, found them in Odran.
And just so you know, according to the books that were taken out, that man that he was talking to was actually an angel of the Most. This is all ordained or planned, however you want to frame it.
When they saw him far off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him.
So that spirit of envy and the spirit of jealousy morphed into hatred and morphed into wanting to murder him. Now we know that in Matthew 5, the Messiah said that you have an ought against your brother, or even if you say wicked things or even start thinking these wicked thoughts, that you're worthy of judgment of hellfire and death. So now it's not just a feeling again of envy. Like they've just been meditating on that energy, and it's just growing and growing and growing, and now they're planning on slaying or killing their own brother. So do you one of y'all have something to say?
No.
Ah, what up, Aki?
What up, man?
I just got to plug it in though. Plug it into
What up, G?
What's up, man?
You hear me? You hear me? You got to plug it into the wall. So, keep going.
They said one to another, behold, dream will come.
Something like that. I can see him now.
Yeah.
Here come the dream. That ain't the dream.
He don't know he done dreamed his last dream. Like, cause they talking. They talking right now. Like, hey, you see he coming, right? Bet you ain't dream about this. I know he ain't see this coming. You think he better than us? He gonna, this the last time he gonna snitch the pouch on me.
On phone.
On mama
On
now.
them grave.
On phone now, on mama now. This it. On grandma and them grave, like people be saying, right? On everything. On what he say on what that dude say? That one crip for this PO YouTube. Oh hood.
Oh, yeah. On 50 Phil.
On 50 Phil. On hood. He's like on hood. This is it. Yeah, Crip Mac, man. Like if you ever need a laugh, Crip Mac, man, he brings me life, man. I watch him for a lot. Is he?
Yeah.
On hood though. But anyway, keep going.
Come now, therefore, let us slay him, cast him into the pit. We will say, some evil beast have devoured him. We shall see what will become.
So yeah, we gonna kill him. We gonna see if his dreams gonna come. We gonna see if we gonna be obeying him. We gonna obey him from the dead or something.
It's so crazy. It's amazing how when people have these prophecies come to them and then they go through trying to get rid of it, or
they try to stop it.
And it's like you be pretty much putting it in play. Like now you actually putting it in play.
That's literally like in quantum physics, they try to call that the law of reverse effort or something like that. I don't know, but like you thinking about it and worrying about it, because they had to be worrying about it. You're worrying about it, that's what brings you to it. Even Job talked about it. The fears that come upon me. You gotta watch the things that you fear and the things that you're meditating on, because we know that we live in a field or a planet or a plane of manifestation. Right? Your words, your actions, your thoughts, they all can manifest, right? And so again, like they said, oh, here come the dreamer and his own brother. Now remember, we're going to read the testament of Simeon. So, but they want to kill their second youngest brother,
It's a baby.
who ain't even legal. Well, he's 17. He ain't even
They
legal.
probably will. They do it.
Yeah, bro. Like again, like they've been going to wars. They've been killing folks. Like if you read like some of the books that are taken out, like people scared, like fearful whenever they come up, especially Simeon, because we're gonna
They ran the block.
Hmm?
They ran the block.
Right, look, man. Well, Simeon spin the block quick, bro. Look, quick trigger. I'm telling you, quick trigger. Okay, so we read that. Okay. So then it says, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. So Reuben's the oldest. He's the one that was supposed to get the birthright, but he ended up losing the birth of the firstborn. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. So the oldest brother's trying to be smart about it. Okay, now just throw him in the pit. Don't none of y'all hurt him. We'll just let him die there. You know, this and that. And when y'all leave, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna get him back to Pops. 'Cause I know Pops and Mom and them ain't gonna like what y'all talking about, right? Especially not Mom and them. Any other Mom and them.
Yeah.
And Reuben said unto them, I already read that one.
Yeah, you on
Chapter 23. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. Again, that's not actually many colors, it's many parts. But and then again, some of the books that were taken out, they didn't just strip him. So they basically stripped him naked, almost naked. It was also beating the brakes off.
Yeah,
like it ain't just a stripping. Yeah, for real, for real. Yeah. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Again, books were taken out. There were also snakes and scorpions. That Mosiah was protecting him. He had a plan for so the snakes and scorpions, I guess, because he was crying and yelling, and because he was literally like, even though they threw him in a pit, it doesn't really say it here, but he was crying out to specifically, I want to say it was like, was it Judah, Levi, and maybe Simeon, specifically calling them out by name, like, hey, come and save me. Am I not bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh? This is that. I'm your youngest brother. And crying and weeping. It got so bad. So now when you read this next part, and they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So what this doesn't tell you is where they were eating at, they actually walked a great distance away because they didn't want to hear him crying anymore because they couldn't take it. And so they were actually, when they were eating, they were coming in the covenant because they were deciding either were they going to leave him alive or were they going to kill him. That's what this was. Again, but this started from the spirit of envy and jealousy, something that we all have got to overcome, you know, in our lives.
But their parents kind of made fun of the child, though.
Jacob did, yeah, because he loved him. I mean, but what we were talking about in context, so the other ones, like they would go and they would go into war and fight, and it wasn't really home. So just like Jacob did, he sent Joseph to go and check on the affairs because he, you know, he was 17, he's almost grown. Yeah. So that's why he loved him more. He would place that responsibility on him so he didn't have to do it. But the other brothers, they didn't look at it like that. They were looking at it like, man, why you? And then because he would be telling them what they were doing, whether it was good or bad. So he was snitching. And they didn't like that. And then once you add the dreams on top of that, they're seeing it from their perspective, but they're not seeing the whole picture. Because now they're just like, nah, man, we don't like this dude. Yeah.
Here's snitch, but hey, you're doing something, just trying to help you, brother.
I know somebody who would love him though. Charleston White. Let's keep going. And Judah said to his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. That's what it says. Then there passed by the Midianite merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. 20 pieces of
silver. So that's Judas. Oh, Judas, is he in the house of Judah?
So Judas,
yes,
it's the old. So Judas, the word, the name is actually Judah. It's just Hellenized Greek.
Oh,
but he was, as far as I remember, he was actually from the tribe of Judah too. So it was Judah from the tribe of Judah. So it's not really Judas Iscariot, it's actually Judah Iscariot. So he was actually the Messiah's own tribe, or own brother from his own tribe killed him, is what it actually means.
And see, like, so a lot of, I know how we think of Joseph was actually Joseph, like a son of Joseph, for the most part. They recited the names down.
Oh, well, in the New Testament, yeah, Jesus.
But I'm saying, but you see that a lot because, like, so somebody named, I think, was it? I want to say Enoch, because that was Methuselah's pops, right?
Yeah, but then there was another Enoch.
There was another Enoch down later on. Like I said, so they recycle the names a lot.
That's what our people did. Just like so James in the New Testament, his name's not James, it's actually Jacob.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I just found it out. Moray was saying that. Appreciate you.
yeah.
He needed it though. But yeah, so Moray was saying that. But yeah,
Laugh at that. On hood. All right. And I see you on 55th. 55th.
and Ishmael. Who Ishmael was somebody's son. Whose son was Ishmael?
Ishmael was
That's
Abraham's son.
So
Isaac
yeah.
is
Yeah,
his
so
son.
that's their those are
So
their
they
cousins.
could. Well,
Those are
yeah.
their cousins. So he
But
got
they-
sold to their cousins who sold him to the and they sold him to Egypt, right? Okay, so next slide. Jamal, if you don't mind.
And Reuben returned unto the pit. Behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes.
So backstory. So when Judah made this decision, like we should just sell them, and then all the brothers weren't there, because Reuben didn't even know about it. So that shows you that all the brothers weren't there when that decision was made. So okay, keep.
And he returned unto his brethren, said, Child is not, now whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood. They sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, This have we found. Now know whether it be thy son's coat or no.
So instead of them
That's
going to
what's
go find and like, wait, we found this though. Is this your son? They didn't say, is this our brothers? They said, is this your son? Is this your son's coat?
It's crazy because like you said, it's covenant talk. Because
Yeah.
they had a plan. They sat down and ate, and then they killed something. So you got sacrifice,
Yeah, was
Like,
sacrifice.
the contract, and breaking bread to seal the deal. That's crazy.
Brother,
Am I my brother's keeper?
yes, I am.
Were they?
Reuben tried to be. He
He
tried.
was trying to be slick. So now we're gonna get into the Testament of Simeon. Say what?
Help me down.
Yeah. So we're only gonna read the first two chapters of the Testament of Simeon. The third chapter is about a prophecy, a future prophecy of the Messiah. First two should get the job done. So, Raj, if you don't mind.
Copy of the words, Simeon, things which he spake to his sons before he died, 120th year of his life, which Joseph his brother died.
When we were just reading about Joseph, he just died. Simeon is getting ready to pass on as well. So he's letting his son, because it's a custom of our people. Like,
Yeah. I
right?
was just gonna say, like, I know when we did the testament of Reuben, it started off like this.
Yeah. So whenever our forefathers would get ready to die, they would come and they would prophesy what's going to happen. The Holy Spirit would come upon them, and they would either bless their sons, and some of the sons may get cursed, depending on how good or how wicked they. So again, this is like our custom.
But when Simeon was sick, his sons came to visit him. He strengthened himself, set up, and kissed them, said, Hearken, children, Simeon, your father, I will declare unto you things I have heart. I was born of Jacob, father's second son. Second, mother's Leah, called me Simeon, because Lord heard prayer.
So that's what Simeon means. I heard.
Moreover, I became strong, exceedingly, strengthened,
That's right.
for from no achievement, nor was I afraid of aught.
So he wasn't worried about nothing.
And here, I everything I set out to do, I accomplished.
He walking like he talking.
For my heart was hard, my liver was immovable, and my bowels without compassion.
Well, now aren't we supposed to have compassion though? Before you say what you got to say.
But no, I was just saying, like, you like, so those are like core organs. He was just trying to just Saying how strong he was.
Yeah, like he was just tough. He was just hard. You know what I'm
Hard.
saying? Like he was just like, no man, we hard out here. Come on. He was really like that. He was like, yeah, I'm him. That's basically what he said.
I
I'm him.
shrunk from no achievement. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever I
I'm him.
sought out to do, I done it.
Oh,
You hear me?
On him grave, right?
Right.
So let's keep going. Jamal, if you don't
All
mind.
right. Because valor also has been given from the Most High to men in soul and body. For in the time of my youth, I was jealous in anything Joseph, because my father loved him beyond all.
We know that that's a part of the what? The angel of iniquity or the works of the flesh.
I set my mind against him, for him, because the prince of deceit sent forth the spirit of jealousy, blinded my mind, so that I regarded him not as a brother.
Go ahead.
Oh, nor did I spare even Jacob, my father.
Didn't even care about how his father or how Joseph's mother was gonna feel behind it.
That broke their heart too.
Yeah, bro,
Broke their
mourning,
heart.
crying,
Yeah.
you know, because he thought, you know, the one that was helping him the most, the one that he was needing, was gone. You know, like man, like the Most High, like he's judging my family right now. You know, it's on me. He probably blamed himself for it. Like he was crying so bad, it was basically like, well, let me come down to be with my son. You know, like, but that jealousy and that envy though, like it poisons, it curses people. And as we keep reading, you're gonna see, keep going.
But his God and the God of his fathers sent forth his angels.
So at that time, that wasn't even Simeon's God, because he wasn't worried about the Most High. He said his God and the God of his fathers, not the God of my fathers. That's his brother, right? So he was so filled with hatred that he was worshiping, which he didn't even realize, the angel of iniquity, the angel of the enemy who sent this angel of deceit. Right? Keep going.
And delivered him out of my hands. When I went to
Shechem,
Shechem, to bring ointment for the flocks, and Reuben to Dothan, where were our necessaries, all our stores. Judah, my brother, sold him to the Ishmaelites.
Remember I told you everybody wasn't there? No, he wasn't there for that, right? So watch this. Man, go ahead.
Like when Reuben heard these things, he was grieved, for he wished to restore him to his father.
Right.
But on hearing this, I was exceedingly wroth against Judah.
So he was mad at his brother for selling him. Like, what you mean you sold him? Like, nah, bro. Like this dreamer, man, he gotta go. Where you selling him at? Where he at? He was mad at Judah for selling his brother.
That's unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened to us. So we got
I mean, you know that, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Detroit. Okay, yeah. And that he let him go away alive. And for the 5 months I continued wrathful against him. So he wanted him dead.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he wasn't mad that he sold him.
Yeah.
He mad because he wasn't dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dead.
So for 5 months he was coming at Judah.
Because he didn't kill him because they wanted to.
Because he sold him and he didn't get a chance to, man. I've been dreaming about this day when I ain't have to know that he might be alive, man. You took that from me.
You ain't hear what he said. He said no. He said I suffer no accomplishment. Whatever the first verse.
Yeah.
He was like what? I shrunk from no accomplishments. Yeah. This was one of my accomplishments. You messing up my. You putting a tally on my name.
Why you messing up my flow, man?
You putting a tally on my name, yo. Can't be riding around these streets. I ain't finishing what I started.
But imagine hating somebody because the jealousy, the envy morphed into hatred so bad that because he's alive, like you were talking about, you won't be mad at your brother. Which that's basically like killing somebody, selling them into slavery, because you're a slave, you're not really living your own life. You know, and he's gonna be mad at his brother. It says he was wrathful against Judah for 5 months.
5 months. That's the time. That's half pregnancy.
That's almost a half a year. But keep going, keep reading it.
But the Lord restrained. Yeah. But the Lord restrained me and withheld me from the power of my hand. For my right hand was half withered for 7 days.
So, what does that mean?
God took his power away.
Right. So his right hand withered, but whenever you see that, I mean, he lost his strength for 7 days. he was so wrathful, like after Judah, and so mad that he focusing on killing his brother, this, and that. The Most High was like, okay, it's time for you to get punished.
Yeah, the boy aneurysm in the arm.
Right.
Yeah, saying withered away, it says. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Supposed
with
to
it.
have arthritis.
The jump.
Carpal tunnel to the max or something, right?
And I knew my children that because of Joseph this had befallen me. And I repented and wept. And I besought the Lord God that my hand might be restored, and that I might hold aloof from all what's the pollution and envy from all folly.
So then he realized the sins that he was, the works of the flesh that he was living in. So he repented, right? So the Most High could restore him to his power. Because again, earlier he said that Joseph's God and the God of his fathers, not him. So he was just believing in his own strength, his own power. You know what I'm saying? It's all him. Right? Then he realized, wait, the greater power is he coming at me now, so I got to get right. In my own heart. So go ahead.
For I knew that I had devised an evil thing before the Lord and Jacob my father, on account of Joseph my brother, and that I envied him.
All of this is because of envy.
I messed it. Well, you about to mess his life up.
Yeah, everything. Like, not to mention, like we talked about earlier, his dad is heartbroken. You can imagine probably how overprotective he was over Benjamin after that point. Like, no, you ain't going. I'm gonna send a servant to somebody. No, I can't lose you two. Both of y'all are children in my old age. You know, no, I can't lose you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Need somebody to get removed.
Yeah, something. Yeah, you just gonna stay around the house. You gonna stay around the house.
Go outside and play. No,
I got chores to do. It's
no.
I mean, we can go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah,
we can.
Yeah, let's go have some fun. Yeah. I'll walk with you. No, we ain't running today.
Don't be every time.
You don't know about that right there.
How old are y'all?
Dollarine.
You don't know about that, man?
You ain't never watched that?
Angel, man.
Touched by Angel used to come on CBS?
I seen that before. I seen that before. I seen Harlem Nights. When I seen Harlem Nights, I said, "Why she cussing like that? That's the name."
Yeah, like Delarice. Delarice. Yeah.
I said, "Ooh."
Do it again.
I gotta go watch the Touched by Angel. That joint was fat.
Yeah.
Touched by Angel was fat.
I used to like Boner, man, but he's not that
Yeah.
Raj, will you read this one?
All right. 16, right? Now, my children, hearken unto me, beware of the spirit of deceit and envy. For envy rulers over the whole mind of man. Suffer him neither to eat nor to any good, nor to do any good thing. But if ever suggested to him to destroy him, that be envy. Is that be
That
he envious?
That he envy. And so long as he that is envied flourish, he that envy fadeth away.
So the more that they keep doing better and better, if you're envying them, the worse you're going to keep getting. And he's warning us to beware of that spirit of envy. And a lot of people, like, when you don't control your thoughts or your words or your actions, your emotions, your energies, emotion, this is the type of stuff that happens, right? All right, keep going. So what?
That's right. So
go ahead.
I'm not trying to.
You good? You good?
I've been on the book. One of them, Game of Life and How to Live. Other one.
That's about that woman, right?
That's one. How Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah,
but realize I've been listening to it. But in the Think and Grow Rich, they got a version where people giving they breaking down different parts of the book. They've got it to hours, 7 hours. you listen to the original version, listen to, I think it's contemporary version. You listen to that one and it's trying to break down much for understand it. Yeah, it's too much. Yeah. So when I listen to it with a side of power, the subconscious mind, it's and that hating name continue to be poor happiness, enjoyment, overwhelmed with less because of this how you leveling up your energy. Yeah. And like one of us always receive because when you stop receiving those it was like no matter what it is, even if you don't want it, let's be open to receiving it. Some people feel that
Exactly.
You're not supposed to offend anybody.
Even though you trying to, you looking at it in another way, it still can block your energy. This right here, they thinking bad, so they not getting anything.
Bringing no good. Yeah.
Nothing profit.
It's like a deposit, you deposit salt. You can't go back and try, man, let me get some sugar.
Like
you can't withdraw sugar. You can't.
Deposit what you put in. Oh yeah,
we good.
Yeah, you good.
2 years, therefore I afflicted soul, which fasting in the fear of the Lord. And I learned it. I learned that deliverance envy cometh by the fear of God. For if a man flee to the Lord, evil spirit runneth away from him. Like, and henceforth he's sympathizing with him who he envied, giveth those hostile to him. Seeketh.
So, come on, what does that mean? What is verses, we'll go 18 through 20.
Whenever you like going through something like that, find decide to break down and talk to God, ask for forgiveness and help or whatever, evil spirit will run away. So your mind will be clear. All those evil spirit, evil thoughts and envy thoughts that you having. So at some point in time your blessing will start coming back. Like I with you. As long as you clear conscious.
Because
all right.
Messiah, some called Jesus, people named Yahushua, he talked about you have like an altar of discretion or some type of disagreement that you're holding in your heart for the somebody. You can't even give an offering. So if you're in an assembly or a church or whatever, you give an offering. If you have a grudge against somebody, you're not supposed to give it to them. You're supposed to stop, make it right with your brother or your sister or your wife or whoever that is. Make that right first. Then come and give the offering, because it's just like quote unquote the Lord's Prayer. You know, you can't ask for forgiveness if you're not going to forgive other people, because He's not going to forgive you. And He shows compassion and mercy and love to thousands of those that love Him and keep His commandments. But we can't be the same, because we can't be long suffering with people. We don't operate. The problem is we don't operate in the fruits of the Spirit. We don't have that meekness. We don't have that patience.
The sound mind.
Like he talked about, loving your neighbor and this and that, and how far she go with him. He said 70 times 7, forgiving people. We don't want to do that. You do one wrong thing to me, then you like it's over. Even though we done went how many whatever miles or done all that, we didn't done it all, done did it all. You know what I'm saying? But but we don't have that love, because the Bible says two powerful things about love. One thing it says that it covers a multitude of sins. What does that mean?
That's a lot. That's like love.
So that's in the New Testament. You know what the Old Testament says? It covers all sin. they didn't have that type of love in their heart. So their sins were scarlet, like were just bleeding before the Most High. Even though Joseph wasn't dead, it was almost like those sins were just coming up to the Most High, like, all right. Because like if you go through the Testaments, all of them were being plagued by different things because of what they did to Joseph. And then we're gonna learn about the character and that the love that Joseph showed them in spite of what they did to him. We're about to read that. So we read this whole slide, right? Okay. So what is the fear of Yahuah? Or the fear of the Lord?
The respect. See, is the respect of
So what does it mean to respect God? Like when we talk get away with generalities.
Oh, to ultimately fear God, you have to obey.
Okay.
Submit.
There you go. I'll accept this. So Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So if you really want to attain wisdom or knowledge, or if you really want to have an understanding of what your purpose is, how to love people, how to forgive people, how to move forward, you gotta fear the Most High. Okay. Psalms 110 and verse 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Before it's the beginning of knowledge, now it's the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments, his praise endure forever. So then it's not only that you're getting wisdom, you'll have a good understanding. So when people come at us like, why are you trying to keep commandments or trying to learn this is now, why you stay so much in the Old Testament? For one, we're supposed to be meditating the scriptures day and night. We're supposed to always be keeping the laws of the Most High in our mouths to our children's children, generation to generation. Plus, I want to have a good understanding. People want us to stay ignorant. And we know that our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We don't want to read anything. Ignorance is definitely still bliss, right? Proverbs 16 and verse 6. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. And by the fear of Yahuah, men depart from evil. So that's what happened to Simeon, because he said he didn't have any compassion in his mind. So then once he humbled himself, fasted, and prayed to the Most High to get deliverance, then as we just read, if I go back to that verse, he said, for if a man flee to the Lord, the evil spirit runneth away from him, and his mind is lightened. So that war that goes on in your mind ceases. And henceforth by sympathy or compassion or mercy with him whom he envied, and forgiveth those who are hostile to him, and so ceaseth from his envy. Because that's why the Messiah told us to pray for those that despitefully use us. Pray for those that are doing bad things for you. Have compassion, have sympathy. Now, do that. Don't be nobody's doormat. I'm not talking about that.
I'm have something like David.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Kill
saying.
Him.
Yeah.
Kill him. And they see.
But
slay them out.
But you praying for them and forgiving them doesn't mean that you still won't see your desires on other people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's you making sure that you are pure and that you're not stopping the blessings that are coming to you, the manifestations that you want, and not the fears that you want to bring into your life. That's you making sure that you're an open channel to the Most High.
Just thought when you were speaking, just dawned on me. Like you were saying how people try to get you not to obey the laws and do the commandments. Like, this is me though. How you gonna be mad at me for wanting to get my life right? How you gonna be envy of me for getting my life right? Maybe you need to read the stories, brother, sister. Read the story,
cousin,
whoever.
cousin.
But no, for real, like, so now you on my head for trying to do right.
For trying to have a good understanding.
But what spirit you walking in, man? For real, like, you gotta check yourself.
Well, ask him. You should ask him, like, what fruit of the spirit are you walking in right now, brother?
That's just done.
Is this the fruit of the spirit? Is this the fruit of the angel of iniquity, or the law of the flesh, or the law of sin and death? Like, which one is this? Because this ain't the fruit of the spirit right now.
It can't be.
Because the Most High, He's not the author of what?
Confusion.
Why do certain people always bring confusion to you? I'm just saying.
That's why we tell like people like, man, that Bible contradicts itself. No, it's contradicts your life. With everything I read lines up. Another thing I was taught. I was told, and we don't do all the time. It's a continuation. We'll read Genesis and jump, like, I'm talking about not in studying purposes, but I'm just saying for like, because we want to read on our own, we won't read from the beginning to the end. And you have to read this so you can understand.
Yeah.
But what people want to do, I'm gonna just read the New Testament.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read Revelation, and I'm just gonna read Proverbs,
Get everything.
and forget everything else. Like that's why you're confused, because you ain't sat down and read this.
Yeah. Just like you were talking about, any book you need to read from the beginning.
Yeah.
Or
Anything.
people they just want to start with the New Testament. That's all they read. I'm like,
And
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
it's crazy. I understand you want to learn about the Messiah, but it's literally he literally says he's quoted from Psalms. He's found in the volume of the book. What does that mean?
All
He
through,
all
the
through
book.
that junk. He
It's
everywhere.
written of me. Is what
Yeah,
he's saying.
all
The
through
whole
the
thing
book.
is about him.
Yeah.
What is it about? He's like, I'm who the prophets were speaking of.
Yeah.
How you know my boy Moses?
I am
That
him.
was me. I'm
This is-
him.
Yeah.
He was kept gay.
Because I asked him if he was the son of God. You know what he said? I am.
I am what I am.
And you know what's crazy? When
Thou
Moses asked
said
when Moses asked them folk, I'm gonna ask God, God, who I'm gonna tell them you is? I am.
that I am.
You hear me? Like I said, so come on, man. It's like if you open your book, read. It's there. But your lifestyle ain't fitting the script.
So now you're making the script can fit to your.
Come on, lifestyle. You better preach, brother. Who my handkerchief fit? Fan them out. That boy
No,
on fire.
but
He
seriously
He
though,
hot.
because that's what they
But
want.
that's exactly what they do.
Because it's easier and it's more comfortable. The book is not to make you comfortable. It's so you can understand what's pleasing to the Most High, how to correct yourself. So like to the Elohim or the Allure that we are sired to, you know, from our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac,
Mhm.
Jacob, 12 patriarchs, all of them.
And
He has certain things he wants us to do. Keep going.
and one of it was like instruction. This is the instruction manual. Let me see you go. You don't know how to build no motor. Let me see you go put that motor together. You start
Mhm.
at chapter 10 and it's only 11 chapters.
Yeah.
Put that motor together. You start it. You can't. You can't live throughout
Yeah,
this
all I
life.
need is Paul.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you
The whole book.
But I guess
Paul's
it's just
not even the Messiah. He said, "Follow me as I follow."
the
Yeah.
Messiah.
That stuff be tripping me out. I'm like,
Follow.
right. Right. Even Paul says that his righteousness is but filthy rags. If you look up what filthy rags is, it's when a woman is on her period. And back then, that's what they used to clean it.
And that's what he said, my rights. That's what I'm saying. He like, I'm like, don't do it. Ain't me.
Bruh,
But
but
this
people
me right
lean
here.
on his righteousness.
Yeah, man. Whew, my bad.
No, you good. So, again, so I'm gonna read the last one. By mercy, I'm gonna read all three. Proverbs 1:7. The fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Psalms 111:10. The fear of Yahuah is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. Those that have wisdom, we praise them. Thank you. We're grateful. We have gratitude. Whatever you want to say. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. So, if you want to have your sins forgiven, you got to have mercy. What are the weightier matters in the law, bro?
Judgment and mercy.
And
Faith.
faith.
Yeah.
So, mercy, though. So he's talking about this. This is a weighty thing. A lot of times, when you're dealing with envy, you're not having mercy because they didn't have mercy on Joseph.
Amen.
So they weren't dealing in
The
the
love.
weightier matters and the correct love, because the correct love or charity, you know, it covers all sins. It forgives us. It's long suffering. We don't be doing that. And in the times that's coming, especially with our people in our community, we have to have that type of love for each other. Because when the food shortage is really hitting, everyone has to depend on somebody to bring something where the bartering system comes back into play. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but 71 countries have de-dollarized with all this stuff going on too. So the dollar is sinking on top of that also. So what are we gonna do then when the economy collapses? We just talked about all the droughts and stuff that's going on to where they can't bring stuff with ships and this and that, and then the world war is starting to take shape with all the nations, and Biden with that little stunt stopping the stuff with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So we talked about in California, they talked about by 2035, no more gas powered vehicles. Now the Saudi princes and all them, they're banking on all the gas and oil and all that. So who is that making an enemy of?
Right.
And all of the oil barons, right? So that's further cemented. So Trump, when he backed out of that one treaty, it started making America an even bigger target. And people keep thinking the war will never happen here. And I'm like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere else.
Yeah, y'all are crazy.
But
Eventually, this nation's
It's
gonna
not civil
fall.
war.
Yeah.
It's starting. Yeah, think so?
Well, and Trump running again. Get ready for that.
Yeah.
Get ready for the media to start respinning this stuff, and hatred, and jealousy, and envy to
see
start going crazy again. Go ahead.
See how the media playing Kanye West right
Yeah,
now.
we was just talking about
We
that.
was talking about that,
before
bro.
we clocked
Well,
War.
well, he getting crucified right now.
They even tell him you don't see your kids no more.
See,
That's
so
crazy.
we're talking about the spirit of envy. The spirit of envy will have you trying to compete or do better than Ray J. Marrying into a coven of witches. They're not just a rich family; they're a coven of witches. They bathe in babies' blood. They do all they've done seances. They do all this other stuff. They are a coven of witches. It'll have you thinking. And he was bragging about how he manifested the girl of his dreams, and it was her. He ain't got his kids no more.
we like he had Solomon and
That was a
Sheba.
nightmare. Yeah, that was a nightmare. The stuff that he had to do and endure all because of envy or jealousy or whatever you want to call it. Instead of having a sound mind and reading from the book of a sound mind, which is the word, which is the Bible. But no, he was focused on the lust of the flesh and not the fruits of the spirit. So you got to be careful, because that's why you gotta watch yourself when you're trying to be like everybody else, envious of everybody else. You see what they got, but you don't know what they went through.
Yeah.
Having to have sex with a goat. If he really did that, I mean, I know with some of those, even some of those fraternities, you got to do some gay stuff. Sometimes you got to have sex with animals and all this other type of stuff.
Sometimes you get pumped with a banana or other weird
Bro.
stuff, all types of weird stuff, bro.
And then people sell their soul to go do that because they're envy and they're jealous and they're lusting, they're covet. Thou shalt not covet.
They want to be rich and famous.
He said, "Let's." But I need that. I need that.
Like, because it ain't. I'm not trying to sell something that I was given. I can't sell my soul, and it ain't worth.
You
Dude,
can't get it back once you sell it. Never get it back.
why you think there's all those celebrity meltdowns? They mess around and get gangbanged, dudes and women.
Then they crash out, they reality, so they can't get it back.
Drug, MK Ultra, brain is fried. Have clones of them in case they mess up. A lot of those people are clones right now, and people don't even like. Never mind. Let me get out of my conspiracy bag.
No.
Yeah.
Listen
He's
here.
a billionaire no more.
Huh?
He's no longer a billionaire.
What you
Yes,
talking
he
about?
is.
No, he's not.
They can't take his. I
They
can't take
put
his
it on
money.
CNN. Forbes said he is no longer a
The
billionaire.
Forbes can say what they want. You don't just disappear
You can't just take it.
He
$6.6 billion.
lost his contract with what you call it yesterday, Adidas yesterday. Like
But
he's too
he
big.
won't lose no money from Adidas. Adidas losing money from him. But Kanye still can produce his product. That's his product. He always owned 100%, and I think he was giving them like a distribution kickback, if I'm not mistaken.
Contract worth $250 billion.
Yeah, and Adidas said we will lose this.
And you already saw what Russell Simmons and others like him have said. Hey, we got
I
this.
seen the clip. I never did watch it.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. Don't fall for the okie doke and the deception, because then people are gonna start feeling sorry and really start to follow Kanye into an even greater deception. So be
Mhm.
careful with that also, because
Yeah, like,
he's still a pawn. He's still a part of that.
Of course.
Those
we-
secret brotherhoods and societies. Go ahead.
We were just talking on our drive down here, and I don't know if you remember, but I was saying how the media he was talking about, they control it. We don't know Kanye personally. We don't know his entourage. So it's easy to say, hey, Forbes said he ain't billionaire no more. Forbes also said that Chad Ochocinco was worth like $5 million.
And he did
And
that
he
call.
showed him,
Yeah.
and he was like, he had 15 million in his
Yeah,
bank. He
in
said,
his
so
bank.
where they getting the information from?
Yeah.
And this just
You
liquid
didn't see
money.
that interview? I was like, I saw that like, well, sure, earlier this year.
Didn't Chase just him get $2 billion out of it?
It was like, no, I think
No,
he
but-
only had 250. Yeah, he had a bunch of million in there. He
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
take
the
it
Chase
out.
told him to take it out.
Who did?
Chase, JP Morgan. JP Morgan. But
Don't speak
and
about
like
Chase,
you
my
know what's
bad.
really crazy? So Kanye,
He's
like
big
if
on
you
that
watch some of
shit.
his interviews, he talked about he'd been calling Forbes and trying to get them to put him on the Forbes list for years,
For years.
and they wouldn't even put him on there. He's been a billionaire
And that's what he said.
for a while,
And
because
that's
like
what him and Nora was talking
Now,
about.
I know he said they wouldn't recognize him as a billionaire, but I ain't know.
it don't matter what they recognize. If it's his money,
If
it's like
if it's
this.
his,
This
it's
is how
his.
crazy it is. He is the wealthiest black man or black
in
woman
American
in
history.
American history.
Kanye?
And they still got him behind Jay-Z.
Jay-Z? I thought Jay-Z and people was ahead of him.
No. Kanye's worth over $6 billion, bro.
Yeah, he actually said 9.
Yeah, he
came
said
out
he
and
said in his recent
9.
video it's 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Forbes reported either last year or early this year, I can't remember, that he was worth 6.6 billion. It's probably closer to 9 now. because you got to think he got music catalogs, fashion,
But that's how he made the
shoes,
No
That's-
more than fashion.
and them shoes are ridiculously expensive. Like it don't
They
make
say
no
they
sense.
come
I
from
said it like
wrong.
this.
I want me some. My feet too
Ugly,
big.
ugly, bro.
The
Yeah,
thing
they
that's
mad
crazy
ugly to
about
me.
it is
I don't.
that
That ain't my cup of tea.
he can go and
Start his own.
how much money he can make himself is crazy.
So
Because all these people really mess with him already. So if he put these shoes out himself and got that $200, $300 himself, he actually can put a bigger tag on it now because of what they doing. People gonna buy.
Yeah.
because of public sympathy. So when I was talking about this great exception, so we know even though it appears he's not working with them,
Mhm.
I'm telling y'all, I'm not so sure because in order to make it to the next level in these secret societies, you have to have an embarrassment feature.
I think this right here, all of them consider like being embarrassed. He should be already at the top of the top, shouldn't he? Like Jay-Z.
Well, so in order to situate him to make it look for him to become even more wealthy, because his vision is he wants to be a Walt
Put
Disney and this
you
and
ain't
that,
better
right?
put this on YouTube.
So then, like,
That's me, better put this on YouTube.
Yeah,
They gonna flag that
like
strike
strike,
out.
like strike, yeah.
oh well, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying you
Yeah.
have to do certain things. And after the embarrassment
Yeah.
rituals, he lost his wife because of the stuff.
This right here is what we're talking about.
Oh, I'm saying he lost
Yeah.
his wife because of the stuff. He can't see his family no more. He can't do all this type of stuff. So this might be a ploy to build him up for the poster child to have him to be another gatekeeper for him.
Mm.
So then the Yeezy brand that we don't know he's actually being as a puppet being controlled. So that's what I'm saying. Just be careful and be mindful of that. But yeah, you're right. Let's keep going. All right. So chapter 2. Bam, if you don't mind.
And my
Huh? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
my turn.
And my father asked concerning me, because he saw that I was sad. And I said unto him, I am pained in my liver, for I mourn more than they all, because I was guilty of the selling of Joseph.
He wasn't really guilty because we know that was Judas. So he was guilty because he wanted him dead. So his pops is like, why you crying so much? Wait, why you maxing out right now? Why you crying more than me and the rest of your brothers?
And when we went down into Egypt and he bound me as a spy, I knew that I was suffering justly. Breathe not.
So when they went down, y'all remember what happened with that? So
Bound him.
because he was like, no, go get your youngest brother and your father and bring them over here, and then y'all can have Simeon back. Basically,
Mhm.
is what Joseph said. So Joseph was like, nah, when he bound me, I already knew, like, he was right. Yeah, he should have, because he knew I was coming to, yeah, read him his last rites and whatnot.
So he knew that was his brother. So they knew that was Joseph. I thought they
No,
didn't
no,
know
no,
at first.
no. They didn't know it at first. That like he was in disguise. But once he realized it, that's why he's saying now that like, yeah, when he put me down there and kept me unawares, yeah, he was right. He was right for keeping me. Because Joseph, you got to know, Joseph knew who was really the ringleader trying to have him killed. He could still hear what he was talking about to an extent, especially when they stripping him naked. He was probably like, yeah, boy, we're going to kill you. You know I've been waiting for that.
Mhm.
You know me. Keep going.
Now Joseph was a good man, had the spirit of God within him, being compassionate and pitiful. He bore no malice against me, loved me even as the rest of his brothers, but loved me even as the rest of his brothers.
So he had compassion, he had charity, and love covered the sin that they did against him. Right? He didn't hold that against. Like, could you do that, Bam? If you had like if
I'm
your
be
brother
honest
and
with
your
you.
sister and them put you in that situation, could you forgive them like
Let me
that?
tell you something. I have been put in a situation and I forgave people, but I ain't fooling with them.
Yeah.
You ain't come get none of this grain. But I love you though.
I
Send the
forgive you.
kids.
I mean, if
I'll
if
feed them
you
kids.
heard them talking about killing you, they got you bound up, stripped you basically half naked, and then sold you to somebody for dead. Could you forgive them?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. But I was just gonna say, but you see, but that's why like he said, he had the spirit of God in him.
Yeah.
That's why when these people getting these blessings and stuff, that God set this up because he know a lot of us can't handle it.
I
He
can't-
know a lot of us can't handle it.
It's not it's not even that they can't handle it. He know that they don't have the right spirit.
It's
They
like
can't
that-
be happy for others.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just imagine if he put the spirit of the Messiah in Peter. Man, we would have been through.
Done for
You
it.
know who I am? I'm him for real. Like,
Yo.
that's
but nah, for real though. So, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? He sent Lucifer down here to die for our sin. Lucifer hating us right now.
you know how good I look? Like, what you mean?
Man,
Me
that-
die?
I don't even like these folks you
For them?
created. You hear me?
You know how many sins I didn't call all of them doing right now? I'm keeping a list and I'm checking it twice.
Take a score.
But you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's why.
Santa Claus, it's a play on words. Satan always catches writing down all your sins. It's really a Satan clause. I just got
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I see what you're doing there.
You
Hank and
catching
chill.
Yeah, yeah,
Hank and chill.
They playing with
on.
words.
Catching on, ain't you? Catching on.
Yeah. I see you still like picking it up. I'm gonna reverse that. I'm gonna have to. rewind that. We'll talk about it after.
Anyway, beware.
We'll slow it up to.
Therefore, beware. Therefore, my children, of all jealousy and envy, walk in singleness of heart, and God may give you also grace and glory, and blessing upon your heads, even as ye saw in Joseph's case.
So again, talking about envy and jealousy
So
and
they
all
all
that.
thinking the same thing.
He's saying
One
singleness
mind,
of
one
your heart.
Yeah.
Because it's a gateway and fornication, gateways into worse things. Worse things. You would just keep going in downward spirals and spirals. You know? Keep going. Actually, no, because we already talked about the size from that. So, fornication, the gateway sin. Go, bam, it is.
Yeah. All his days he was reproached us, not concerning this thing, but loved us as his own soul, and beyond his own sons glorified us, and gave us riches and cattle of fruits. Was this?
So no, this is Simeon talking about Joseph.
Yeah.
So after they did all that wickedness, he went to Egypt, became the second in charge of, basically was Pharaoh over the land, second only to Pharaoh. So then he was blessing and loving them more than his own sons. Who got that kind of love? If your brothers would have did that to you, later on, even though you know a family, you know your mom and them and pop and them are still alive, could you have that kind of love? Or would that envy and that jealousy fester and morph, which is the gateway to hatred or to possibly murder?
I think after all that time passed, it would have wore off. But since I seen him again, and those come back, would have like out of this.
I'm about
But
to say,
I'm
because
saying, like,
especially in your younger
your
days,
arm
like,
gotta go.
if it would have only been like 10 minutes or something, or
Yeah.
10 years or something, ain't no way,
But
bro.
you gotta your arm
Ain't no
gotta
way,
go.
boy.
Give me an eye, something.
Something. I need a piece of you, bro.
Man, what?
Yeah.
Give me a.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with y'all.
Yeah.
So y'all gonna have to get some lashes. Like we gonna have to get some.
I gotta get some form of payback.
I'm getting it back in blood.
Yeah, you know it. With the safety mask
Yeah,
on,
with
man,
the
I'm telling you.
right foot creep. Oh, not wild.
Give me something else.
No,
I ain't
like,
gonna lie.
Yeah, man, you
I'm
can't.
I'm human though.
Yeah.
so was he.
Nah, he had the spirit of God in him. He was something different.
He said he was something.
He
else.
was something different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it. Right, y'all, that happened to one of y'all. What would y'all do? That's someone.
I ain't gonna lie. Now, like I could, by me knowing scripture, but now as I know it, and the way
Okay,
spirits work.
say it happened to you when you like 17, say you 37, and you think about periodically, and you finally see all in one place.
Let me tell you something. If it would happen 5 years ago, we would.
yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, let's say it was
I'm
only
fresh.
like a decade.
I'm fresh
It's
in
still
it.
there.
I'm fresh
He
in
said
it.
it's
I'm
there,
still
though.
over like this the fence. I ain't striding the fence, but I'm right there. I can see it. I can touch it. I can touch it.
I'm telling you, like,
But
I just know me.
but that's why I say like,
yeah, I know you. That's what I'm saying. You think, and then to
especially
exalt,
your younger years.
and then to exalt and to love them more than your own sons.
That's crazy.
You said what?
That's crazy.
That's wild, ain't it?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, well,
Not my business.
yeah. So start from the top again, Bam.
And his days he reproached us, not concerning this thing.
So he didn't even bring it up. Wouldn't even bring it up. Wouldn't even count it against you at all. Act like it never happened.
That's love.
Covers all sins.
But loved us as his own soul. He loved, like, treat them like, love your neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
That was before the golden rule, right?
Well, before it was codified.
and beyond his own sons glorified us,
Universal law.
and gave us riches and cattle and fruit. Do ye also, my children, love each one his brother with a good heart, and the spirit of envy will withdraw from you. So he's saying all you gotta do, you ain't even not gotta not be jealous, but you just love with a good heart. And jealous, envy can't even touch you.
Because you're not meditating on the envy anymore. If you're focused on loving your brother, loving your sister, loving your wife, loving your cousin, loving your friend, then eventually those feelings, those energies in motion are going to flee from you.
I promise you, I just had this conversation a couple of days ago. I was telling a person if they would have had the compassion and love for the next people, so to speak, we would have been here. Literally just had this conversation. It's like, but because you couldn't see past your want to, go back one slide. Okay, a few slides. You saw he said that and said walk in singleness of heart. Now that's selfishness. That's you thinking about you. I'm only thinking about me.
So that means that you're envious of other people being there in for certain times too, because you don't want them to have what you have.
No, and it's and like you said, so it's but like I said, people do it to themselves. Just like this whole thing about how they heard this prophecy of y'all gonna bow down to me. Y'all made this happen because of y'all envy and jealousy.
Yep.
You literally put it in play.
The fears come upon you.
Because you like, man, I can help, but I don't want to. Now you put yourself right in this rut. It's like being in the mud. You know what I mean? And just spinning out. Man, you digging it like you stuck. You digging. You said so called. You digging your own grave, all because your heart ain't right.
Yeah. And then mind you, Joseph didn't bring it up, so he's not telling his sons. Simeon's not telling his sons too. He's basically on his deathbed. So he went to the grave holding it, even though Most High restored his power, his right hand, and this and that from the river. He basically took a lot of that guilt to the grave with him. That's something we're not supposed to be carrying, man. We gotta let guilt and all that stuff go.
That's crazy.
Because I mean, how can you apologize? I mean, because when he's not bringing it up too, he's not bringing, and he's just showing you just love, no matter what you did to him. It's just, man, it's for real, man. It's just all love, no matter what I done done to him.
Kill him with kind.
Literally.
Yeah. You're feeling bad.
Yeah.
That's how it be.
You don't bring it up, I ain't gonna bring it.
That's crazy.
Factual. That's a factual situation.
But yeah, withdraw from you, yeah. For this make it, what's it say, savage the soul. For this make it savage the soul and destroy the body.
It does what to the body?
Destroy it.
We don't be understand. Like we live with these emotions, these feelings, and they literally take over your body. Literally, like the connection between these emotions, these feelings, and sickness and disease is crazy.
Crazy. That's how we put.
It causes anger and war in the mind. And what's the stirred? And stirred up the deeds of, what's that stirred? Stirred up the deeds of blood.
Right.
And leadeth the mind into a frenzy and causes tumult to the soul. Turmoil.
What is that?
Tumult.
Yeah, basically, it's basically a turmoil or like commotion. Yeah.
To the soul and trembling to the body.
Not good to me. But bro, and act accordingly in brotherly love, however you want to call it. Brotherly love, which in the New Testament, that would be Philia or Philadelphia's code. Testament, brotherly love, the city of brotherly love. Not that gay stuff that they're trying to do now. Or even back then, but that's what it's supposed to be. Or a hava. We have to operate in that love because, again, it manifests diseases and ailments in the body.
So you said the brotherly love means Philia what?
Philia. Phia. I think IA.
And so in Philadelphia, that's they hold
That's
it.
why it's the city.
All right,
of
that's
brotherly
crazy. I
love.
never knew that. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Well, even in sleep, malicious jealousy,
Malicious.
malicious. Okay,
Let's not slow down. Slow down with this one.
okay. For even in sleep, malicious jealousy.
Oh my
Have
God.
mercy.
Malicious, dude.
Uh,
Malicious.
Did it on purpose, man.
For even in sleep, malicious
Yeah.
jealousy, gnaweth, and with wicked spirits, disturbeth the soul.
So you can't even get a good night's rest. You can't even sleep right. He's just gonna be eating at you, eating you up, eating up your soul, your subconscious mind, your consciousness. It's converting. It's controlling you. It's literally you're creating it. You're literally creating a multiple personality. You don't even realize it because your brain is now on autopilot for just that. You're not controlling anything. You're being controlled. Some emotion, somebody else who they don't even know they have a remote that's controlling you. Stop giving away your power. Control your own power, right? Keep going.
And causes the body to be troubled, and waketh the mind from sleep in confusion. And as a wicked and poisonous spirit, so appeareth it to men.
Poison.
It's wicked.
Poison.
Poison.
Poison to take the antidote. The antidote is love. And being obedient to the Most High. That's what the antidote is.
Therefore was Joseph comingly in appearance, and goodly to look upon, because no wickedness dwelt in him. But some of the trouble of the spirit for the face manifest.
Because they even manifest on you when you're meditating on that, when that stuff's on you. So with Joseph, because he was operating in the right mental state or state of love, was pleasing to the Most High, this, and that. He looked young. He looked healthy. He looked alive. But while everyone else was being troubled, going through stuff. Manifest.
Hi, sister.
Oh, hey, love.
How are you?
Okay. Raj, it's on you.
Now, children, make your hearts good before the Lord, your ways straight before men, and ye shall find grace before the Lord. Beware, therefore, of fornication, mother of all evil.
Gateway, just like those gateway drugs, that's fornication, and I'm gonna say envy to a gateway sin.
Separated from God, bringing near to
Belial, which is the enemy.
For I have seen writing of Enoch, that your son shall be corrupted in education, shall do harm to sons Levi.
Levi, the Levitical priesthood, that's the priestly tribe. The Messiah actually came through the tribes of Judah and Levi, priest and king, President. So, what's up?
Levi was their brother.
Yeah.
So he said, Enoch wrote a long time ago that your son was finna try to kill Levi's son.
Right.
So that's why he giving him this speech
These
about
prophecies
be about
keep
your
going
brother.
down, bro. That's what I'm saying. This is
So
our
I'm
custom.
thinking, I didn't know. So I'm just thinking he just like y'all don't do this because this is what happened to me. But he telling them like, I need y'all to not do this because it's spoken that y'all gonna do this.
Yeah, because if I would have put chapter 3 in there, then you would have read how, like I said, the Messiah was going to come through the tribe of Levi and Judah, and the tribe's going to go against each other, especially against Levi, and it's going to prevail and go into captivity and all this other stuff. So definitely read chapter 3. For the point where we're going over, I just felt like this was going to be enough.
That's crazy. I did not know that. So he pretty much, this is a warning.
Oh, that's what a testament is. You're giving warnings and you're prophesying.
I just thought he was just like giving his, you said test like this.
No,
like, this is
bro.
what I went through.
And
type
like
thing.
as a man, as a father, like that's one of the things that we're supposed to do before we pass on. Most High gives us that grace. We're supposed to let our kids know, hey, this is stuff like he's talking about, the befell or befalled me, and this is what I feel like, or this is what the Most High told me about you. You got to be careful about. These things have been prophesied, and I've seen it's going to happen to you. So be prepared for the test when it comes. You know.
But they shall not be able to Levi. It's his thing. But he shall wage the war, Lord, all your hope. They shall be few in number, divided in Levi, Judah. There shall be none of you for sovereignty, even as also our father.
And Shema, I guess you're last.
What you know?
You're the last one.
And he knew it. Said, "Is my son's coat? Evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces."
This is
That's
again.
crazy.
This is the end of 37. So we read the whole chapter.
Jacob rent his clothes, put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and all his daughters rose up to
Comfort.
comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave until my son mourning." Thus his father wept. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt to Potiphar, officer of Pharaoh's, captain of the guard.
So the spirit of envy, spirit of fornication, gateway sins morphed into hatred, trying to murder somebody and send him into slavery, and they didn't take into account the father, which is read, he was just mourning. They didn't care because they had the right love. Focus on the other things.
What form of fornication was they in on? Because I know, for the most part.
So you going, the definitions of fornication.
Yeah, it's sex, ain't it? Like,
Well, it depends.
It's a lot.
It
It's
depends.
a lot.
I've always only speak about sex. Like,
Well, that's what it is in the New Age, but like the biblical definition, kind of leave it sometimes up to interpretation.
Yeah.
I like a better term.
No, it don't. I'm gonna tell you what it say.
But I have found one that actually does.
I need to read. But no, I was just playing.
Yeah.
But now I was asking, but it was like I'm like, was they? Because I know idolatry, adultery. You know what I mean? So like they, like I said, it was nothing sexual about it. So was they worshiping? Was like they?
Idolatry and adultery can be a spiritual thing if you're worshiping other
other gods. And I know in the beginning you was like they kind of gave in to the spirit of iniquity. So it's kind of like
iniquity.
That was the fornication he was speaking of, so to speak, about being into this mind frame.
Now, are you talking about Simeon? Like
when he was talking to his son.
Okay, so no, what Simeon is actually talking about, he's talking about fornication. He's talking about the actual. So first he was talking about all the envy and jealousy, and then he got on fornication. Like, hey, be careful with fornication too, because once we get to the testament of Reuben, you'll start to see some other things. So I don't know which one we'll do next time, but keep going on the testaments. Pretty good.
Yeah, because they open up. They, like I said, they open up. So the Bible is good. Don't get me wrong. The Bible as we have it is good, but the whole thing, a lot better.
Fornication when you have sex when you're not married.
Yeah. It can be. You can be married to fornication.
That's adultery.
Pornea.
Yeah, Cornelius.
So that's what I'm saying.
So all of it fits under like so the Hebrew words like I said it's like it's like a lot going into it. We just see them like, oh, this is a box, but no, that's a pizza holder. This is also a food carrier. You know what I mean? So that's how the Hebrew look at it. When you your thoughts, because so is man thinking, so is he. So it starts up here in the brain.
That's all I got. Did it make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? Everybody good?
Man, who gonna bless this? Who gonna bless this food?
Thank y'all for tuning in. Shabbat shalom.